Welcome back, Crypto Trend Trader here. Going to take a look at Bitcoin, but before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. So here we have the Bitcoin Coinbase chart. I'm on the 4-hour right now, and not much has changed here recently. We're basically just based off of this 377 white moving average right here, and it's essentially at this point in time like a horizontal support. So that's the main thing I'm looking for, is basically if we get a confirmed candle close below like the 9100 range, essentially taking out the parabolic SAR on the 4-hour and closing below the 377, I look for continuation to the downside, probably a retest of at least the 9,000 range, if not down to the 200 at 8,900 or 8,600. And as far as the upside is concerned, you know, there's not a lot of resistance specifically above us here, but I mean, if we can take out one of these previous highs, I'd be able to get like a little more bullish. So at this point in time, I think if we took out like the 9600 range or got a close like up in here, I'd get a lot more bullish. But essentially, I'd like to see the high get taken out over here at like 9950, and then I could really get bullish on this thing for continuation to the upside. It's hard to argue that you shouldn't be bullish right now just because we're above all major moving averages on longer time frames, and technically that is bullish, but I don't always look at that in like a consolidation phase as being like a bullish move. The way I look at it is we broke down out of a key area that was support for this whole period through here, and we basically broke down through it, got a continued sell off, we found support, we retested up, found resistance at the point where we sold off, which is essentially where we're at now. If you look at that horizontal support that was holding us up this whole time, that's what's holding us down now. So the fact that we've just like held here and gotten rejected so strongly off it, what I would expect to happen if we consolidate here for too long is we would, in fact, like the market would essentially like lose confidence in this move back up, and we would sell back off and retest the lower areas, or possibly just like form a larger triangle inside this range right here. We can expect strong support up to like the 8700 range on the daily. That would be the 200. And then after that, we come back down here to that 7900 range. Currently, the jewel is just showing sideways, not really showing much of everything, but it is calling that this was the top move over here. The TD MACD is saying, given 2 red histograms in a row. So when we get the daily close today, that's going to tell you to essentially be out of a trade. But at this point in time, we're really just consolidating. There's not a lot of new information coming in over here. Half the people are going to tell you it's bullish that we moved up and we're consolidating. Half the people are going to tell you it's bearish that we moved up and we're consolidating. For me, like if we moved up out of this range and actually had broken out, it would change the whole scope on things for me a little bit. But essentially, depending on what exchange you look at and how you have your lines drawn, this is essentially like a downward channel consolidation that we've been in like since this whole massive move up. And assuming that was the swing low right here, we could basically test anywhere back up in this area and then sell all the way back down to the previous low here and still be in that pattern. So at this point in time, we're inside of a pattern that's basically been going on since the end of June this year. So what I would say is the most likely thing to happen is this channel that we're in, this consolidation that we're in, is going to continue to hold until it doesn't. So at this point in time, what I would expect to happen is I would expect this to break down back into this zone somewhere in between. Like the 382 is strong resistance at 9800 and the 618 is strong support at 7300. So what I would expect to happen is us to move somewhere down in the 7300 range, back down into this area and get further consolidation. And that's just because what I would expect to happen is continuation, until this pattern actually breaks. And at this point in time, if we did get the breakout to the upside, all I would need to see is like confirmed candle closes basically back above the 382. So if we took out the 9700 and got confirmed candle closes outside of the purple pattern that we're inside of right here, That's also going to put us above like the 382 range right here, take out that previous high, and then I think the next target would be like back at 99.10,000. I think we would probably get a sell-off when we reach this green support slash resistance line here, and then again if we can get back up to the blue one. But I would say as far as targets back up, if we do move up here, I would say our main target's going to be that 11.2 range, because if we can get back up to the 11.2 range, we can essentially invalidate this pattern. We have a breakout of it, and then we could get continuation. But as far as like depending on how people have this drawn currently, where we have already broken out, this is the last thing I would want to see after a breakout. I would want to see a breakout and then come down and retest the point that we broke from now for support instead of resistance, or I would expect it to just immediately, continuation. But the last thing I want to do is continuation, consolidation, because that tells me like it's not a legitimate breakout. Because when you get a breakout, you need to see continuation, because that's essentially validating to the market like, okay, we've been in a pattern, we're no longer in that pattern, so we've broken it, and we're going to get continuation in the direction of the break. But that's not what we're seeing here. We're essentially seeing like a false breakout, consolidation, and then I think what we're going to get is a sell-off. But again, I am biased because we've been in a downward trend for the last few months here. So I would expect us to stay in a downward trend until we don't. And that break at the top up here and consolidation or breakout, retest, and then continuation, is exactly what I'm looking for to invalidate this pattern. So again, breakout to the upside. If we can get up to that 11.23 range, that's definitely big, 11.250 over here. And if we're going to break down and continue in this pattern, we could come down as low as 7,300. Right now I am biased to the downside because we are in a downward consolidation pattern. We've been inside this range the whole time, and until that range breaks, I'm not expecting it to. So what I would expect to happen inside this flag right here is for us to eventually sell back off and get at least that retest of the 8,500 range. Well, there you have it, guys. Crypto trend trader. A lot of indecision in the markets, all across the markets. Silver, gold, S&P. Everything is just complete confusion right now. People just don't know what's going on. I mean, politics, tweets are swinging, $1,000 moves. CME gap fills, $1,000 moves. I mean, there's just right now there's just extreme volatility, and there's no clear answer at this point in time. So I mean, I would expect that if traditional markets were making all-time highs and we were going to get continuation, I would expect to see like a ton of volume to pump in, and all of a sudden just to start like moving to the upside parabolically. But we're not getting that right now. We're getting all-time highs, and we're kind of just like hanging out and almost even like selling off, and it's starting to look to me a little bit like an island kind of like gap up like reversal pattern. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. If we do start getting that continuation like we would expect to see, then I think that's going to be clear indication to the market that we are going to get like lengthy continuation, all new highs. I think that would be great. But as you can see right now with that small sell-off right there, we don't have the daily close yet, but we just triggered the jewel thief. We're getting the sell signal right here on the jewel thief. So that's essentially telling us the last time we got that sell signal, we came all the way down and we tested the 200 moving averages. So that's basically telling us that if that happens again, we're going to come back down here and either test a breakout at 2,900, the 200s, or a little lower in the 2,800 range, and test down here to that previous resistance slash support. So we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of indecision in the market right now. Everybody's just waiting for like that confirmation, and nobody's getting it right now across crypto, across traditional, everything. So keep your eyes peeled, guys. We're expecting a big move soon, and all you can do is just basically just be prepared. Do your TA ahead of time. Get an idea of what you're going to do if this happens. If we break to the upside, what are you going to do? If we break to the downside, what are you going to do? If we continue to consolidate, what are you going to do? Have a plan, and in that way you're not trying to react. You're basically just taking action upon the action of the market instead of trying to like hurry up and do TA and figure out where it's going while price moves against you. So there you have it, guys. Crypto trend trader, Bitcoin TA on the daily. Quick touch on the S&P. Signing off.